Picture this. You're looking for help with addiction recovery and you find a program that seems perfect. What if I told you that this program is actually a front for Scientology? In this video, we're going to explore how Scientology hides behind seemingly helpful organizations and why that matters to you. The Church of Scientology operates a network of groups that appear to be secular and socially beneficial. These organizations tackle issues like addiction, mental health, and education. However, they often mask their true connection to Scientology. Why should you care? Because these groups might influence you or your loved ones without your knowledge. They promote Scientology beliefs under the guise of help and support. And who am I to expose this dangerous grift? My name is Dr. Sulman Aziz Mirza, triple board certified in adult psychiatry, child and adolescent psychiatry, and addiction medicine. And by the end of this, you'll be better equipped to recognize Scientology's hidden influence in everyday life. Let's start by looking at the organization behind these groups. You might not have heard of ABLE, but it plays a key role in Scientology's outreach efforts. ABLE stands for the Association for Better Living and Education. It sounds like a noble cause, right? But there's more to this organization than meets the eye. ABLE is actually a core part of the Church of Scientology International, or CSI for short. ABLE's main job is to manage Scientology's social betterment groups, but its real mission is to spread L. Ron Hubbard's ideas for improving society. If you're not familiar, Hubbard is the founder of Scientology. For more on him, check out the video I made via the card above. His teachings form the backbone of everything ABLE does. The organization focuses on areas like drug rehab, education, and improving morals. But all of these efforts use Hubbard's methods, which are central to Scientology. So while ABLE and his programs might seem like helpful resources on the surface, they're actually closely tied to Scientology. They serve as a way for the church to spread its beliefs and potentially recruit new members, all under the guise of social improvement. Now that we've explored ABLE's role, let's take a closer look at two of its most prominent programs, Narconon and Criminon. These organizations claim to help people overcome addiction and criminal behavior, but are they really what they seem? Narconon, established in 1966, presents itself as a drug rehabilitation program. On the surface, it appears to offer hope to those struggling with addiction. But dig a little deeper and you'll find some troubling connections and practices. Despite its claims of being secular, Narconon is deeply rooted in Scientology principles. It operates under ABLE, which is controlled by the Church of Scientology. The program's core beliefs and methods come straight from L. Ron Hubbard's teachings, not from established medical science. One of Narconon's main treatments is the Purification Rundown. This involves intense exercise, long sauna sessions, and high-dose vitamins, especially niacin. Narconon claims this detoxifies the body, but medical experts disagree. In fact, many health professionals consider these practices unsafe and ineffective. The program's effectiveness is also questionable. While Narconon boasts high success rates as high as 75%, independent studies paint a different picture. Some estimates put the actual success rates at around 6.6%. There's no reliable evidence supporting Narconon as an effective drug prevention program. But it's not just about ineffective treatment. Former Narconon president Lucas Catton revealed some of his disturbing practices. He stated, "Narconon preys on vulnerable people. That's part of the sales techniques." This suggests the program might be more focused on recruitment than rehabilitation. Other former executives have raised alarms about unqualified staff and deceptive marketing. Eric Tenorio, another ex-executive, said, "No course, no test, no oversight, it's absolutely fraud." These statements raise serious concerns about the program's integrity and intentions. Criminon, Narconon's sister program, follows a similar pattern. It claims to rehabilitate criminals using Scientology-based methods. Like Narconon, it operates under ABLE and promotes Hubbard's teachings. Both programs have faced legal troubles and criticism. Narconon has been involved in several lawsuits, with its methods labeled as medically unsafe, quackery, and medical fraud. Some cases have even involved deaths at Narconon facilities, leading to investigations by health authorities. There have been so many, in fact, that Wikipedia has its own section of Narconon-associated deaths. The dangers of these programs extend beyond their questionable practices. By masking their connection to Scientology, they potentially expose vulnerable individuals to the church's beliefs without their knowledge or consent. This raises ethical concerns about informed consent and the true nature of the help being offered. Moreover, these programs often misinform participants about addiction and treatment. They promote unscientific ideas, like the notion that drugs can be sweated out through sauna use. This contradicts established medical understanding and could prevent people from seeking evidence-based treatments, such as medication-assisted treatment, the gold standard for substance use disorders. The close ties between these programs and Scientology are clear. Many staff members are Scientologists, often from the church's elite C organization. This further blurs the line between rehabilitation and potential recruitment. We've seen how Scientology uses addiction treatment programs to spread its message, but what about mental health? Enter the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, or CCHR. This group claims to protect people from psychiatric abuse, but there's more to the story. Founded in 1969, CCHR presents itself as a watchdog for mental health patients' rights. Its stated mission sounds noble, to expose and eliminate abuses in the field of mental health. But as we dig deeper, we find that CCHR's true purpose aligns closely with Scientology's beliefs. CCHR was actually established by the Church of Scientology and psychiatrist Thomas Szasz, one of the founders of the anti-psychiatry movement. This connection isn't widely known, and it's not something that CCHR advertises. Instead, they focus on campaigns against various psychiatric practices and medications. One of CCHR's main targets is ADHD treatment. They argue that ADHD isn't a real disorder, and that medications like Ritalin are unnecessary and harmful. This stance goes against mainstream medical understanding and could discourage people from seeking help for their legitimate mental health issues. But CCHR doesn't stop there. They've produced documentaries claiming the entire mental health industry is driven by greed. These films portray psychiatrists as conniving monsters, a view that lacks nuance and oversimplifies complex issues in mental health care. CCHR's tactics often involve protest and lobbying efforts. They campaign against mental health screenings and push for laws to restrict the use of psychiatric medications. While some of their concerns about over-medication are valid, their approach often relies on fear-mongering rather than balanced scientific information. One of CCHR's most visible projects is their Psychiatry, an Industry of Death exhibit. This traveling display aims to show the dark side of psychiatry's history. However, critics say it often exaggerates or misrepresents facts to make its case against modern psychiatric practices. The danger of CCHR's work lies in its potential to discourage people from seeking mental health treatment. By painting all of psychiatry with the same negative brush, they may prevent individuals from getting help they genuinely need. This aligns with Scientology's general stance against psychiatry, but it can have real-world consequences for those struggling with mental health issues. One of the more notorious CCHR claims was that Osama bin Laden's personal physician was a psychiatrist who brainwashed him with psychiatric medication and was the one who was actually responsible for the idea for the 9/11 terrorist attacks. This is blatantly false, and he was actually a trained surgeon. It's worth noting that CCHR has faced legal challenges for its claims. In one significant case, they were found liable for defamation after making false statements about a psychiatrist. This highlights the questionable nature of some of their tactics and information. While CCHR does bring attention to some real issues in mental health care, their methods and motivations are controversial. They often use pseudoscience and misleading information to support their claims. This approach can be particularly harmful when it comes to complex mental health topics that require nuanced understanding. By also masking their connection to Scientology and presenting themselves as patient advocacy groups, CCHR gains credibility they may not otherwise have. This allows them to spread Scientology's anti-psychiatry message to a wider audience, often without people realizing the source of these ideas. We've seen how Scientology used various organizations to help spread its message, but what if I told you that they've even taken over a group that was originally meant to expose cults? This is the story of the Cult Awareness Network, or CAN, and how it went from being Scientology's biggest critic to becoming one of its tools. Back in 1978, CAN was established with a clear mission: to provide information about cults and their practices. They weren't shy about their views on Scientology either. In fact, they considered it the most dangerous, rapacious, and destructive cult in contemporary America. CAN was a thorn in Scientology's side, offering critical information and support to those affected by cult activities. But things took a dramatic turn in 1996. CAN found itself drowning in legal troubles, facing a barrage of lawsuits. These weren't random legal battles. They were orchestrated by none other than the Church of Scientology itself. The strategy worked and CAN was forced into bankruptcy. Here's where the story gets truly bizarre. After pushing CAN into bankruptcy, Scientology didn't just celebrate its victory and move on. Instead, they saw an opportunity. In a move that sounds more like a plot twist in a John Grisham thriller, the Church of Scientology actually acquired CAN's assets. Yes, you heard that right. The very organization that CAN had been warning people about now owns CAN itself. But Scientology didn't stop there. They completely transformed CAN, turning it into something entirely different from its original purpose. The new CAN, now under Scientologist leadership, became what many consider a front group for Scientology. Talk about a complete 180. This transformation is more than just an interesting tidbit of history. It represents a significant shift in how information about cults is shared and controlled. The original CAN was dedicated to transparency and critical examination of cults. It aimed to help people understand the potential dangers of certain groups and assist those who had negative experiences. In contrast, the new iteration of CAN operates under the oversight of the Church of Scientology. Its focus has shifted dramatically. Instead of providing critical information about cults, it now advocates for Scientology's interests. This change in mission is a stark example of how Scientology works to control narratives about itself and other groups. The irony of this situation is hard to miss. An organization once devoted to exposing manipulative practices has itself become a vehicle for a group often accused of those very practices. It's a textbook example of the wolf in sheep's clothing, with potential real-life consequences for those seeking information about cults. Now that we've uncovered Scientology's hidden network, what can you do with this information? The key is awareness and critical thinking. When you encounter an unfamiliar organization offering help or services, take a moment to research its background. Look beyond the surface-level claims and dig into its affiliations and methods. Use things like a basic Google search, or look them up on Wikipedia or the like. This caution applies to more than just Scientology-linked groups. Many organizations mask their true nature or goals. By developing a habit of questioning and investigating, you protect yourself and others from potential harm or manipulation. Remember, legitimate help doesn't need to hide its origins or methods. If an organization seems secretive about its background or uses unconventional practices, that's a red flag. Trust your instincts and seek out reputable, science-based resources for support. Your awareness makes a difference. By sharing this knowledge with friends and family, you help create a more informed community, less vulnerable to hidden influences. And if you learned something new watching this, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, be safe and be well.